Pedro Costa decided to take the chance of injury to represent Portugal in the Euros. The group was looking tough with Norway, France, and Northern Ireland, but it should be doable for Pedro Costa and Portugal. First group stage game would be against Northern Ireland. Everyone was ready to see the young, promising star Pedro play for Portugal. Portugal starts the game off with a penalty, and Gonçalo Ramos has put Portugal 1-0 ahead in the first game. Northern Ireland would go on to get a chance, but it gets saved by the keeper. But the Portugal would get on the attack, and Pedro gets the ball, and he has scored his first goal for Portugal. Northern Ireland would get a penalty in the second half, and they score, and that now puts pressure on Portugal. Portugal would get one last corner. They cross it, and Ramos has scored his second goal, and Portugal starts off with a win against Northern Ireland, and that puts Portugal on top. But they would now go on to face France. This is basically the fight for top of the group. Portugal would start the game on the attack, but with no luck. France would respond with their own attack right after, but Mbappe can't finish it off. Mbappe would get another chance, but Diogo Costa keeps Portugal once again in this game. But in the end, nobody could finish the game, so it ends in a 0-0 draw, which does still guarantee both countries to go through. But last game would be against Norway. Norway is desperate for a win, but Portugal still also needs to win their game. Gonçalo Ramos is on the attack, and he has scored his third goal of the tournament. He's on fire. Pedro passes the ball, and Portugal has scored another goal. Pedro with the assist, and Portugal finished the group with a win. Pedro got 1 goal and 1 assist, which is a good start, but Portugal dropped down to second place, and that would now mean they would go on to face Germany in the round of 16, a very tough opponent. Germany would start off with a chance, and Moukoko has made it 1-0 to Germany. Things didn't look good for Portugal. Germany would get a penalty, but Diogo Costa saves Portugal. Gonçalo Ramos would get a chance for Portugal, and he has made it 1-1. And Portugal are back in the game. Portugal would be on the attack. Pedro passes it to Ramos, and Ramos would get yet another goal. And Pedro gets the assist, but that would be it. Portugal goes on to defeat Germany, and they make it through the round of 16. In the quarterfinals, they would go on to face England, another very tough opponent for Pedro and Portugal. Can Portugal keep on their good form? Portugal would start off with a penalty, and the unstoppable Gonçalo Ramos scores for Portugal. England would be on the attack in the second half, and Phil Foden has equalized the game for England, put the game in extra time. And in the 114th minute, Pedro gets the ball right outside of the box, and he has scored for Portugal. Pedro Costa is the hero for Portugal. He has helped them beat England and sent Portugal to the semi-finals, and they would now face Ukraine in the semi-finals, an unusual semi-final opponent. But Ukraine has been on insane form as well, so it wouldn't be easy for Portugal. Pedro would start with a free kick right outside of the box. It's a good shot, but it gets saved. Portugal would keep on getting chance. But then Gonçalo Ramos would be free on the attack, and he has made it 1-0 to Portugal. Gonçalo Ramos once again with another goal, but in the 83rd minute, Ukraine would get a chance to equalize, and they would go on to equalize. The game would end in 1-1 draw, so it goes to penalties. Ukraine would start with the first penalty, and they would go on to score. Vitinha would get the first penalty for Portugal, and he scores it. Ukraine's turn now, and Diogo Costa is close to saving it. Next taker is Diogo Jota, and he scores. Ukraine's turn once again, and they also score. It's now Pedro's turn, and he smashes it in. Ukraine now takes their penalty, and they score. Now for Gonçalo Ramos's turn, and the man on insane form misses. So if Ukraine score now, they win. Mudryk steps up, and Diogo Costa saves it. Portugal has to score now, or else they are out. And they score, so they're back. Ukraine also scores their next penalty, and Rafael Leão also scores his. Ukraine scores their next, and Nuno Mendes also scores his. Ukraine scores, and then Portugal scores. Diogo Costa finally saves a penalty, so Portugal just need to score, but Ruben Dias miss. Ukraine score their penalty, which means Diogo Costa now has to take a penalty, and he misses. Heartbreak for Portugal as they go out in the semi-finals. But it's not all bad news. Pedro Costa's contract with Lyon has ended, so he has gotten multiple offers from different big clubs. Where should he go to? Decide in the comments.